Hey, good morning, everyone. Fantastic to be here Monday morning, fresh from the Gold Coast where it's cold, and the other side of Toowoomba where Jackie is, and she's freezing as well. Good morning, Jackie.
Morning, Mark.
It is great to have you on here. For those who read the bio in regard to the introduction for Jackie Sargood, Jackie grew up on a property next door to our property out in Western Queensland, sort of south of Huon, between Longreach and Huon. So I've known Jackie since she was knee-high to a witchetty grub. And for those who don't know what a witchetty grub is, go Google it. Anyway, good morning, Jackie. Great to have you with us this morning. And so today's all about you. So let's let's start with where it all began for you after when you got in the world after school. You were with Ella Bache for a while.
I was, Mark. 7 years of boarding school, and I really wanted to spread my wings and go somewhere into the big bright lights of Brisbane. So I boarded the Clayton Greyhound bus in Winton with one suitcase and Brisbane to do 12 months with Ella Bache.
Very good. And you enjoyed it so much you stayed there for a while?
I loved Brisbane and then moved back to Townsville, and it was a great phase in my life, and I really enjoyed the industry for probably about 5 years.
Yeah, no, that's great. And look, the main thing that you're doing these days is you've got Clayton's organic beef and lamb, I think. Is that right?
We will move into lamb.
Okay, so do you want to tell us a bit about that? How's that grown over the years? I think you were just telling me before we came on that the last time we ran into each other was at Brisbane Airport coming back from Chicago, and you just launched it over in America.
That's right, Mark. Clayton and I moved here with our two small boys 15 years ago with a vision to buy an organic property with a lot of water and set up this type of operation in feeding organic cattle, trying to drought-proof the West. We did. We fed for a big supermarket chain for about 6 years, and then they axed the idea of having whole bodies and went into boxed meat, and we had no market, and we're lucky enough to come across someone from America who was looking for our kind of product, and we flew over to launch it to a group of supermarkets down the east coast, and fortunately enough they took our product on board, and we've built from strength to strength.
No, that's fantastic. No, that's good. And what are your plans for growth that are coming up now? Where do you hope to go from here? You're talking about you're obviously here at Ferry Road Markets on the Gold Coast. You're up in all the trendy places in Brisbane, and you're up at Hamilton Island as well. So obviously that's a good market for you.
Right. In 2018, I had a dream to take this domestically instead of just being an international export business, to have a domestic product. It probably took a long time to get the legs underneath it to packaging and things we weren't familiar with, and we were lucky enough to surround ourselves with a good team with experience in that area, and we've moved into IGA at Hamilton Island. As you said, the standard market at Ferry Road and James Street in Brisbane. Adam there does a great job with our product and presents it really, really well. We've got a few more on the boil as well. Sydney, obviously COVID has held us up a little bit in advancing our supplier list as well, yeah.
Okay. So tell me, you've obviously had great success. You're someone who plans ahead. You have obviously, talk to me about goal setting. Talk to me what you do each week in regard to keeping yourself in a great positive frame of mind, and how you start your week off, because this is all about sort of Monday morning motivation and helping people get a good kickstart. So, Jack, what is it you do?
Absolutely. I'm a big list writer, Mark, and I'm a big diary person. I love my diary. By Monday, and I try to exercise early, like sort of 5:30. I'll spend a lot of time thinking what I want to achieve this week. And my first job when I get to work is I sit down and write up the list of what we need to get through for the week. And then I go back again and write it into what I need to get done Monday what we want to achieve by the end of the week, whether it's a dream or, you know, and maybe if we don't get it, pass it over to next week so it's not forgotten. But I do love a list.
You're a list person. Do you actually, so tell me, when you do something that's not on your list, do you actually write it on the list so you can cross it off?
No, but you know what? Sure.
It's funny how many people do that. It's kind of like, wow, I didn't have that one written down. And they get so much joy from crossing things off the list that they go back and write it on just so they can cross it off.
That'll be next week. That'll be on. I'll do that. I'll add things over the extra bit. Add them in.
No, that's right. Now, so what else do you do on a weekly basis? You're very much a list person. I mean, you talked about how you had a great vision in 2018 in regard to making this more a domestic product as well. So apart from having lists, do you what do you do in regard to strategically goal setting? Do you have times where you and your husband go away somewhere to a quiet place and sit down and have a bit of a brainstorm? Do you bring other people in? Do you have outside consultants or people who help you with this sort of strategic planning?
Yes, Clayton and I do spend time probably working where we'd like to be and how we're going to get there, breaking it down into achievable steps. And again, in our sales team, we do the same once a week. We order in a coffee, sit around and work out that we're staying on track. We've got a plan and we're staying on track. Sometimes we add to it. Sometimes it hasn't happened in the time frame we wish it to. If we're looking at a new product or a new packaging, we have a brainstorm, do a SWOT analysis on it. But one of the other things I do a lot, Mark, is I've learned as I've got older.
It's hard to imagine you as being old.
Be kind to yourself. It's taken me a long time to work out to be kind to yourself. If things haven't quite gone to plan, that's okay. Pick yourself up and get going again.
Yep.
And
don't belt yourself up.
Yeah, don't belt yourself up. Tomorrow's a new day. The sun will rise, and get on with it again.
I learned something years ago when I went through a trauma myself, so to speak, from a financial point of view, and at the time I remember being so stressed and agitated and thought the sky was going to fall in. And someone said to me, "Mark, you're still alive. No one died today. And tomorrow you'll wake up and just it'll all be okay. No matter how bad it is at the time, like you say, tomorrow the sun comes up and you get on with it." And the key thing is, we've talked about in this a lot, Jackie, is to focus on progress. So I'm going to ask you, how do you go back and reward yourself or pat yourselves on the back for what you have done? Because you've obviously, you've come a long way. You've started from scratch. You've built up this business. I just love the fact that you trekked over to America and you've set up the export. And I mean, that must be so rewarding for you to know that that you are an export. The two of you have created this export business, and you're doing so well. And you've put yourself into the probably the premier top end butcher stores, butcher shops in the places we've just talked about. How do you celebrate progress? Do you sit down and say, even if we haven't achieved our big goal, how do you say, okay, let's sit back and work out what we have done and give ourselves a pat on the back for that?
That's probably I struggle with. I'm always striving and I'm never sitting down going, we just got to keep getting better and we've got to do this more and that more. That's more my husband when he says, no, we're actually going to go away for a long weekend. Oh, okay. Do you really think that's necessary? Yeah, we're going to stop and we're going to go away. We've got this done. That can wait. He's good at saying, we'll have a weekend away or we'll go to Brisbane for the night, go to a nice restaurant pre-COVID, and we'll jump. Because when we're home, we work.
Just a little trouble. You're just dropping out a little bit there, but no. What I'm picking up is Clayton is he's the one who actually celebrates the progress more than you do. You're just completely driven to. And I'm going to tell you, Jack, there's a danger there because you'll never get there. because whatever your dreams are now, in 5 years' time they'll be much bigger. And so you have the potential of just living in frustration land because you're always going to keep pushing your dreams out. And so if there's something I can pass on today, and that is, and maybe Clayton's trying to do this with you, is it's really important to celebrate the wins along the way, the progress. Not focus on progress, not perfection, because otherwise, and it's great to have those goals that you keep pushing out and pushing out and pushing out, and it's kind of like the horizon. You say, well, I want to achieve this, and when you get close to this, you go, oh, that's easy. So you push it out a bit further. Now we're going to take over Mars as well. We're going to be exporting organic beef to Mars. Will be your next goal. We've conquered the world. What can we? It's not enough. So, but that was why I asked the question, was to say, well, okay, you have done so well. You've achieved great things. You're exporting to another country. You're hitting great targets here in Australia, and I'll give Clayton a pat on the back for me for actually celebrating the fact that you have done so well.
You have to remember, Mark, it's a bit in my breeding to be like that, isn't it?
I do know your mum and dad, yes, very well. That's right. That's right. Now, look, actually, having said that, so tell me how you think you've got the advantage in the fact you grew up out west. You grew up on a rural property. What do you think that advantage is that you get over people that don't have that experience, have grown up in the city? And do you think that makes you more determined, more successful, and so on? What's the difference been for you?
I don't know if it made us more successful, but I know we had a very simple, healthy life as a child.
Yep.
Is in the world. We're very fortunate that we had a lot of family around us, and if they weren't family, they were such close friends, they were family. Even though we're a long way away, we weren't alone.
We had such great neighbours.
Yeah, we did have great and riding my horse to Katumnal, my friend and I. Mum didn't know where we were, but it didn't matter. We were fine. So it was, 12, 15 kilometres? We just decided to ride, had a swim in the dam with Darren and Andrew, rode home.
And Lois probably gave you scones for morning tea.
Auntie Lois fed us morning tea, had a fit. What are you doing here? And then we didn't matter. Okay. It was fine. We had a really lovely, simplistic lifestyle. We learnt to work hard from a young age, and hard work never killed anyone. We're fine.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this question, Jackie. If we're meeting here 3 years from now, so this is a question for you now. If we're meeting here 3 years from today, looking back to today, so we're in what are we? June 20. I've lost track of time. June 2020. So if we're meeting you and I are meeting in June 2023, looking back to now, what has to have changed in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to be happy with the progress that you've made to that point? So I'm sending you out 3 years now. Have you got some thoughts on where you'd like to be?
I would like to be working 4 days a week, double the sales and with some lamb in sales. I'll be well over 50 there.
Wow, so young still.
Just be happy for my children to be happy as well. Jake's 19 and Harry's 17, and as a parent, you just want your kids to be happy and healthy. Yeah,
absolutely. And so, looking back, so we've gone out 3 years and said, how would you like life to be then? And obviously, you've touched on family, you've touched on your business, and so on. What do you think are the greatest successes you've had in life along the way?
Oh, obviously the two boys. The arrival of them is, being a parent is life-changing, and now I understand how come Mum and Dad did stress about us so much. Don't tell Mum that, though. major achievement. And moving to Toowoomba at the time, 15 years ago, was a big step, buying our own property, leaving the umbrella of the Sargood family at Ella behind, moving down here. And Jake was really sick with asthma at the time. So, buying this and setting it up, we had a dream, and we have achieved what we set out to achieve.
No, that's great. If you had your time again, you'd probably send your boys to a good school like TSS instead of Toowoomba Grammar. But apart from that, they were very fortunate, very blessed to get that opportunity to go to a great school up there in Toowoomba as well.
And they've loved it. When Jake left school, he actually did miss school, and people thought that was crazy, but that they do build such a camaraderie at school that they love it.
Yeah. Jackie, who are the people, what we talk about today is obviously what tools do people use to keep themselves in a good frame of mind, positivity, gratitude. Have you thought about who are the people that in your life that you're the most grateful for, that have steered you in the right direction or given you a leg up or helped you? What are the things that you focus on from a gratitude point of view?
Obviously my family, I'm very close to my family. Fortunate at my age to still have both my parents. Yep. One of my bosses in Townsville, when I worked at the Norm Lewis badge shop, and things weren't so great in my life at the time, he was amazing, and he would keep me focused, and just two little words, or he'd say to me, Jackie, out of everything bad comes something good. Just focus on the good thing. And when things aren't exactly how I planned them, I have to take 3 big deep breaths and just think of him, and he puts me straight every time. He was a very quiet man, but what he said was worth listening to every time.
Okay. Are there any other people in your life that have that you feel have made a real difference, that have helped you with direction and so on? Like, do you guys, in what you do in the organic beef area and sheep coming up, do you have groups, you have collective groups or whatever that you're part of?
We do. We're part of the Australian Organic Group, and we meet with them usually every year. That's quite a diverse group, which is I find more interesting. They are empowering, but interesting in, whether they're doing grain, lamb, however everybody can do something to better our industry. There's a group of graziers that we have a lot to do with that supply us. And again, they're just good people to be with, Mark. They're positive. They're grateful. Yep. They're grateful that they have their health, that they have a market to sell their product to. And if anything good is to come out of COVID-19, is that a lot of people have worked out how grateful they are for what they've got, not what they haven't got.
Yeah, very, very much. And I think that's a great lesson in life. If with all forms of gratitude, it's you probably know Jackie, my daughter, has a business called the Gratitude Project, and I don't know if you follow her on one of the 60,000 people on Instagram that follow her, but no, and that's very much the case. It's we really need to be grateful for what we do have and not be focusing on what we don't have. And you're absolutely right. There's a lot of people over the last it's 3 months now, the last 3 months, that have lost their businesses, that have lost employment, that have lost a whole range of things. And I think it's given us all an opportunity to sit back and say, well, okay, let's take stock of what we do have and what and to be grateful for that. And that's why gratitude, I think, is such an important part of everyday life. A lot of people that I talk to on these shows have routine they go through on either a daily basis or certainly a weekly basis in regard to gratitude reflection each day. Some meditating. I think a lot of people that I've spoken to have taken meditation and found that a way to help calm them and to really bring them back and center them in regard to what's happening right now, instead of getting lost in the future or lost in the past. It really does help you to become more, I guess, in the moment. And and I think those are important things to do, is to take some time each day to reflect on what we're grateful for. You know, as I've said, probably every other session, you know, each day I sit and I think about, and I pick specific things. What am I grateful for in regard to family and friends, in regard to my health, in regard to where I live, you know, just find some part there. And my past experiences, relationships, experiences, friends, all those sorts of things. And the final one is to be grateful for things that haven't even happened yet, that I'm not even sure what they're going to be, but I know, you know, the fact is that I know I've got great things coming up in my life. It's a source to, you know, to spend some time thinking about how lucky we are to be in those sorts of positions. So the other thing is, as I said, meditation is something that more and more people are getting involved in, and I've just started with an app on the iPhone. You know, the what is it, Calm or something or other on the iPhone, and you know, I try and listen to that every day and take some time to, you know, just 10, 12 minutes meditating and so on. Do you get involved? Have you ever tried meditation, Jackie, yourself? Or
I have, and I do quite. It's very good for me, Mark, because I am probably inclined to get overwhelmed. Overwhelmed, really. So meditation is good for me. Just calm down and concentrate on the breaths.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And it has really.
Oh, that's good. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about today, Jackie, before we wind up? Are there any? Can you maybe on the link on Facebook after we've finished, maybe you'd like to put a link to your business website and so on?
I'd love to, Mark. Thank you so much. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, can people order directly through you, or do they have to go through the people that?
No, they need to go to standard market or. We do have another one coming on board in Brisbane. I just can't say who it is at the moment, but it's exciting and it'll be fantastic. Yeah.
It's a secret still. Okay. No, Jackie, it's been great chatting with you today, and thanks for making the time today. Really been fun catching up, and we haven't seen each other for ages, but it's like a lot of people in COVID. The only way in COVID times, this is the only way we can catch up. So anyway, great chatting, and just hang on and we'll chat in a sec. Thanks, Jack.